It's Country 104.7 KKRV, longest lunch hour, rolling on for a Tuesday, and not too far from now, a very special comedian and his friends, shall we say, coming to the Town Toyota Center. Jeff Dunham is bringing the Disorderly Conduct Tour. It's a worldwide tour, but coming right through our little neck of the woods here in the Wenatchee Valley. And Mr. Dunham joins us on the phone line now. Jeff, welcome.
How are you, Eric?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Good. Looking forward to coming to town, and the worldwide tour. It is. It's kind of fun because we are literally going all over the place. We've been to Australia and South Africa and a bunch of countries in Europe, and they talk about taking me to China, and now we're coming to Washington.
Now, when your folks talk to you about coming to a place called Wenatchee, Washington, what comes to mind?
I guess what comes to mind is how big's the arena?
Yeah. How much money can we make?
Well, you just want to make sure that it's everybody's going to have a good time. That's all. But no, some of these places we go are fantastic. And you know what? I love going to the smaller places in the mid-sized town because everybody's so appreciative. You can live in Chicago or live in New York or L.A. or Dallas, and these big cities always get the big tours. But I love going to these places where the audiences are usually better because they're much more appreciative. They're not used to it, so I'm looking forward to it.
Tell me, let's go back. I want to talk about the tour. I want to talk about just the massive popularity and success of what you have going on in your career right now. But I want to kind of go back a little bit to the start of this whole thing. Tell me about Jeff Dunham, the kid, and how in the world you came to be a guy that does comedy through puppets.
Yeah, it's not a typical thing for somebody to get into ventriloquism, and certainly back in the late 70s, early 70s and late 60s, I was, I think it was because I was an unremarkable kid. I was slightly overweight. I was not good at anything in particular, no good at sports. I was always the third one to the last chosen for sports. And I always say third one to the last, and I can name the last two guys. I always wonder what happened to them. But, wasn't real popular with the girls, and I saw somebody on television being a ventriloquist. I can't remember what it was exactly, and I thought that looked kind of fun. I saw a dummy in the toy store I asked for Christmas, and there it showed up from Santa, and taught myself ventriloquism. And now I would get up in front of the class and do book reports. And I think what kept me from getting beat up on the playground every other day was the material I chose. I would do, a minute and a half on the book report, and then I'd spend the next 10 minutes picking on the classmates or on the principal or the school food, and nobody ever called me on it. Everybody thought it was funny because I was, it was all in good fun. And that formula pretty much hasn't changed for my show now. I do about a minute and a half worth of anything meaningful, and the rest of the time just goofing off and picking on people.
Well, talk about that too, Jeff, as far as coming up with the characters. Are these people that live in your mind before you ever get to the point where they're actually part of your act?
Well, sure. I think it's, a good playwright or anybody writing a script or coming up with a character as an actor. You draw from that which you know and which you've experienced. And so these, the business aspect, first, I have to pick out something that I think the general population will enjoy and that I can write the best jokes for. And then that character starts to come together in my head, both the voice and what it's going to look like. And then if I think there's enough material there and, it would be a good relationship on stage between me and that character, then I physically start to build the thing. Then I'll do a cheap version of it first, try it out on stage. If it works, then I'll go all out and build the final thing.
Well, and that's what some people maybe not realize is that not only are you coming up with a character and coming up with a voice and everything else, you actually physically build your puppet, right?
Yeah, that was more out of necessity than anything. When I was in college, a professionally made ventriloquist dummy was, at that time, hundreds of dollars. Now it's thousands of dollars. And, I didn't have the extra cash back then or the patience to wait for it because sometimes it would just, take forever for somebody to build something, like literally months or even years. So I just started building these things myself, and it turned out that I worked at it long enough that I got fairly good at it, and they were convincing on stage, and people liked them, and it just, whenever I wanted something new, I just built it myself. And the technology now has grown from, first carving them in wood, and then sculpting them in clay, and making molds, and doing fiberglass. And now it's gone to the point where I still sculpt in clay because that, to me, is real artistry. You can do so much with it. And then I scan them with a 3D scanner, the head with a 3D scanner, and then actually print the shell of the head or the actual outside head on a 3D printer, and then install all the mechanics in that. So it's kind of great to go from clay to pushing a button on a 3D printer, and a few hours later you've got a solid head or a hollow head.
We're talking with Jeff Dunham, who is coming to the Town Toyota Center on March 20th. I think there might be like 2 or 3 tickets left. I mean, this has been one of the hottest tickets here for the Wenatchee Valley, Jeff. It's been fun to watch.
Awesome.
And, we're really looking forward to you coming and bringing Walter and Peanut and everybody else. In fact, you have new characters that have joined your act.
Well, my favorite one in Controlled Chaos and Minding the Monsters, 2 of my other specials, Peanut says, I want to be a ventriloquist. And he says, I have a really ugly dummy. And I pull out the dummy, and of course it's a little version of me, joke. So not long ago, we actually started producing those as toys that we sell in the stores and online and at the live shows. And these are actual ventriloquist dummies that people can buy, semi-professional dummies. They're actually really good quality. And then I didn't want to do a commercial on stage, but I wanted to demonstrate it. So then I would pull it out on stage and just show it to people, and now this has developed into one of my favorite parts of the show, and it's hands down a lot of people's favorite parts of the show because it's just so unexpected. I'm taking this toy on stage, and he comes to life, and he's not a nice person. So yeah, that's one of the new guys, and that's I have a lot of fun with that. And the other thing I've kind of brought back to the show is. I did 20 years of comedy clubs, and one of the things I missed doing these big arenas is the intimacy. You don't feel like it's a big giant arena, and you just wonder how And we solved a lot of that problem with the giant big screen, but then it's like you're not involving the audience as much. But now I've gone back to that, and there's a little more audience involvement now, and you realize when you leave this show, that you could never see that same show again because obviously what we did on stage, it's somewhat different every single show.
Well, and that was my question too. Here we have this wonderful comedic ventriloquist coming to our arena, and you kind of got to be able to see it, and be able to, view what's going on in order kind of to get it. So if I'm sitting up in the rafters, how does that work?
Yeah, we have 2 big rigs. We carry all our own staging and lighting and sound and the big screen and 2 projectors, and we have state-of-the-art stuff, and the screen is either 35 feet or 50 feet big, and so that's a giant screen. I wanted to make sure that to me the most important part of comedy obviously is the spoken word and what's being said. But for what I do, you want to be able to see it too. So anybody, pretty much any seat that we sell, if it doesn't say obstructed view on the ticket, it's a good seat.
Jeff Dunham joining us here on Country 104.7 KKRV, getting ready for the big show at the Town Toyota Center coming up on March 20th, and we actually are going to give you a chance to win some tickets here by listening to the radio. So keep listening for that here on KKRV. Disorderly Conduct is the new worldwide tour, literally worldwide for Jeff Dunham, who has billions of views on YouTube. I mean, do you ever get lost, Jeff, when you're on stage in the middle of doing your act? Because it is so quick between you and the character and back and forth, and I just got to think there's got to be times when you lose it.
Yeah, every once in a while you'll see, some quarterback throw a pass that was like, you're like, what the heck happened? And I think it's kind of the same thing. Most of the time you know what you're doing, and every once in a while something will go haywire. And, that it doesn't happen as much as it used to because I guess I do so many shows, I stay, my pitch and arm has stayed warm. But, yeah, every once in a while the wrong voice will come out of somebody. It's like, usually it's quick enough that nobody notices but me. So, luckily those things are kept to a minimum. So, and the other thing is, I always have to ask my tour manager, where are we? Right before I walk out on stage, just to make sure I said it in my head. And it's funny to me, like to watch some of those videos, like Behind the Music and all these guys on stage. You always see these rock bands, and they have the name of where they are in big giant letters on a piece of cardboard right down in front of them. Because it's so easy to forget where the heck you are. Every place looks the same.
Yeah, exactly. Jeff Dunham getting ready to tour the Wenatchee Valley at the Town Toyota Center coming up on Wednesday, March 20th. 20th. Go to towntoyotacenter.com for more information. So with the DVD that came out around Halloween with the Minding the Monsters, can we get our hands on that yet, Jeff?
Oh, yeah, sure. No, it's been out there, and it's selling really, really well. And I think we've sold total of DVDs probably of all the titles, I think 8 or 9 million, something like that. So that's pretty good for a guy with dolls.
I was going to say, you got to sit back once in a while and go, really?
No, I had planned on, when I was a kid, I planned on doing this for a living and hopefully being somewhat successul at it, and that's what I wanted to do for a living. But, and like I said, 6 years ago, when I was at the top of the feeding chain for food chain for comedy clubs, I thought, well, this is good. I'd like to start doing theaters now, and then if I can get to 2,000-seat theaters, then that's it. That's the pinnacle. But then when we started doing these giant arenas of, anywhere between 6 and I think the most we've done is 14,000 people. That's nuts. I wake up every morning very thankful and grateful, and it's all because of the fans.
Yeah, touring Europe and the UK and Germany and Belgium and South Africa. It's amazing how the comedy through your dummies carries out no matter what language.
It is. It's amazing, especially these countries, in Europe where English is the second language. But it's all thanks to the internet and to YouTube that all this stuff translates. And, they obviously study English and know English sometimes better than we do. But it is amazing that the sense of humor translates. But I think it's because of our television and our movies and then all the stuff that goes on YouTube. They get it. And they tell me, now they're wanting to take me to China, and they're telling me that even in China there are fans there, and we could sell out big places. So those are the ones where I do scratch my head. I'm like, how in the world is this happening? And and then another one, when we come to Israel, what?
Oh yeah, that was my next question. Ahmed the terrorist
in Israel.
In Israel.
Oh yeah, he'll be loved there. He'll be terrified, but they'll love him.
Well, and I have to ask too, in developing that character, how nervous were you about? Okay, can we do this? Can we push this envelope?
Sure. I mean, that was the risk, and it was like, how far can you possibly push this? And I tried it very gingerly. And before he was Ahmed the Dead Terrorist, he was the Dead Osama, because it was a year after 9/11. Everybody was looking for Osama. Nobody knew where he was. There's obviously nothing funny about 9/11, never will be. But both Letterman and Leno were making fun of Al Qaeda and making fun of Osama. And I thought, I think I know where he is. He's actually undead, and he's been hiding in my suitcase with the other dummies. And so I came up with the Dead Osama, and a lot of the same type, the I kill you thing came then, and I very gingerly, the first place I did it was a comedy club 11 miles from Ground Zero in New York. And the jokes and the material that I chose and how I presented it, those people just absolutely ate it up. And I thought, if I can do it here, I can do it anywhere.
Yeah, exactly. So. Well, Jeff and the rest of the crew are going to be coming to the Town Toyota Center on Wednesday, March 20th. Disorderly Conduct is the worldwide tour. And for more information, of course, YouTube is the place to go to get a little taste of Jeff Dunham and his friends. And I'm interested what Walter will think of the Wenatchee Valley, being that he'll be in the Apple capital of the world.
Hold on, Walter, come here.
Hello, is this Eric?
Yes, it is. Hi, Walter.
I just mentioned the Apple capital. It's also the buckle of the power belt. I don't even know what that means, but I'm interested in studying that.
I think it has to do with the hydroelectric dams.
Oh, well, any word that has dam in it, that's good with me. So fine, I don't care.
Walter, we have an elderly population here in the Wenatchee Valley. A lot of people come to retire here, and I think they're really going to enjoy what you have to say.
Well, I don't really care about that. We were down in Florida, and I understand that type of thing, and I just I hope they can come to the show, and I don't care.
Are you getting along with Peanut these days?
Peanut, as I say, he's like a Muppet on crack. That's what he is. And then there's that Filipino in a stick. I'm sorry, the jalapeno on a stick. That's the one I'm concerned about. No one cares.
Now, there was really a lot of people saying that you should have ran for president, Walter.
Yeah, they say I look a lot like Joe Biden, so there's a lot of similarities there, and I should run for president next time. The trouble is I'm too smart for it. You know what I mean?
I do.
Hey, did you watch the Oscars the other night?
I did.
I thought Seth MacFarlane was actually really good. I've seen a lot of haters online, but I think he did a good job. However, the in memoriam bit, did you see that?
I did, yes.
Yeah, that just was not funny.
Yeah, no. Not so much, especially when you are happen to be close to being, reading about yourself in the obituary.
That's not funny. I don't think that's funny. Did you see Adele perform?
I did, yes.
Yeah, did you know she was asked to sing the theme from Life of Pi? Did you know that?
No, I didn't know that.
Yeah, she turned it down when she found out there was actually no pie involved.
I was a little curious about what she chose to wear that night too.
I don't remember that. Was it weird looking?
Well, for a 24-year-old, she looked more your age.
Oh, that's funny. That's sad. Kristen Stewart showed up on crutches. Did you see that?
I did see that.
And I don't mean her fellow cast members from Twilight. Thank you. Was it me, or did she look like she just had sex in the bathroom? You know what I mean? Can you use that? I don't know.
Well, we could try, that's for sure.
I saw Taylor Swift is hooked up with another guy again. Did you see that?
No, I didn't.
Some
Who?
British singer in London. This chick gets more guys than a monster truck show. That's all I'm saying. I don't know. And you see Kim Kardashian's going to have a baby girl. Did you see that?
I did see that.
Congratulations to Kanye West and or Chris Humphries. That's all I'm saying.
Well, Walter, we certainly look forward to having you and the rest of the gang here in Wenatchee, the Apple capital, or the buckle of the Power Belt.
That's right. I'm looking forward to that, and I hope everybody can come out and have a good time.
That sounds great.
Whatever. Here's Jeff.
All right. Thanks, Walter.
So that was Walter.
Yeah, thank you very much, Jeff. Well, hey, we're really looking forward to having you come, and we hope you enjoy. I'm sure you come in and you're here for the show, and then you're out of here, but at least you get a little slice of what the Wenatchee Valley is all about.
Absolutely. We're always trying to go out and see a little bit of the sights, at least have a meal in one of the nice restaurants, and so we'll do that.
Well, there you go. Well, Jeff, thank you very much for taking the time. I really appreciate it, and we'll see you on the 20th.
Super. Thanks, Eric.
There you go. Jeff Dunham joining us here on Country 104.7 KKRV.